Green light, they're away.
And they're all in their positions, ready to go. There's the light up.
In true Mildura stock.
The green light's on. It was a beautiful start.
He's trying to get across.
Hello, welcome to Burning Questions. Tim O'Connor's my name. I'm joined by a couple of Globetrotters here, James Herbertson and Ever Justice, who, when they logged on their phones, thought it was really quite weird that they were looking at each other once again after spending at least a month, even more than a month overseas together, having a great old time. Welcome to the show, guys. Appreciate you jumping on. You're probably jet lagged, so we'll keep it short and sharp. We'll start with you, Herbie. I won't get you to go through everything you did, but give me one or two highlights quickly off the top.
Highlights, probably winning a race at Yarva. That was pretty cool. And from a holiday point of view, all the good food. There was plenty of good food, and especially in Poland, I loved all the food in Poland. So it was a great experience from every angle.
Great stuff. So the food over there that give your dad's lamb roast a bit of rivaling, would it?
Ooh, little run for its money, but he's still got the crown, I'd say.
Good stuff. Ever, welcome to the show. Hey, how's your trip been? I don't think you drove in any races, but I've seen enough photos and bits and pieces to know that you've had a great time.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was good to experience different parts of the world and see how it all works, but it's also good to be home. So, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, a couple of highlights from you quickly before we move on to some racing.
It was good to see how people do things differently in America and in Sweden, and how we all sort of do the same thing, but it's completely different everywhere you go. And highlight from touristing was probably the theme park we went to in Vienna. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, good stuff. Look, I don't expect you guys to be right across the form, but we might get your insights. I've tried to keep the questions relatively to the horses that you know. Let's get stuck right into it. APG's National Mix Sale is back again and coming to you twice in 2025, with the online auctions taking place in May and August and featuring weanlings, yearlings, stallions and broodmares. These two sales really do have a horse for everyone. Find all the details at apgold.com.au. Arcee's back from his Kiwi raid. So is this first up assignment tailor-made? Race 6 on Saturday night at Melton, 8:07 p.m. is the Trotters free-for-all thanks to Yabby Dam Farms. Chris Finozio has his star, Arcee Phoenix, back, the sole runner on the back row. We'll start with you here, Eva. You drive the pole mark in Mufasa Metro. I think John's happy to pass the reins back over. I saw him around in the parade ring a few times over the last few weeks, and he's happy to have you back. So my impressions, the trials, it seemed like he's trialled okay, but I did watch the last trial where Arcee Phoenix was in that trial, Ever, and it's fair to say I think he might have gone a touch better than your horse.
Yeah, definitely. He obviously went past him in the trial. I think beat him by 2 meters. But in saying that, I still think Mufasa did a good job. He ran second and held off nice horses like Olivici and Call Me the Breeze. So it was still a good trial for him, but obviously a better trial for Arcee Phoenix. So it looks like he will be very hard to beat. And he's the only one on the back draw. So obviously Chris Finozio has options, but he's definitely the one to beat.
You got great gate speed, your horse, Ever. First up with bigger things in store. Are you going to try and lead all the way, or would you be happy to take cover on something?
I haven't spoke to Dad much about it yet. But obviously this is sort of his first up run from a spell, and last prep he didn't come back. His trip to Sydney didn't go to plan, and it all sort of went downhill from there. So this run, depending on how he goes, will depend on whether or not he goes to the Inter-Dominion. So he needs to put up a solid performance. So whether that's leading or taking a sit, I'm not too sure yet. But we do want to look after him, but we still want to see him have a solid enough run to prove that he's up to going to Queensland.
Okay, good stuff. Herbie, you team up with Eddie Tapp's I'm Bobby, who he's first up from a spell, so he wouldn't have raced since you last partnered him. He really took a step forward, didn't he, last campaign or the last 6 months or so. So he earns his spot in a field like this, but in saying that, he is going to need probably a bit of luck to beat these rivals, do you think?
Yeah, he went forward in leaps and bounds last time in. He went from sort of a mid to high range country horse right through to free for all class in the space of 6 months. So it was a big effort from the horse and great effort from Eddie, and great to see a trainer with only 2 or 3 in work have one go through their classes like that. You don't get to see it very often. It's generally the larger trainers with more horses. So look, if he was where he was at the end of last prep, I'd say he's in this race with a pretty solid chance. Arcee definitely the class runner. But Bobby's last time when he was able to run some pretty good sectionals and really sort of dance with a few of the top class horses that were going around at the time. But I'd say he'll still need to run in this race. But I think he's a definite top 4 chance. That's for sure.
Has he got the gate speed to be involved early, Herbie, do you think, or not? It's sort of hard to know sometimes when he's, leading lesser quality fields, or you wouldn't try to do anything with him on Saturday night?
I'm not too sure. It probably wouldn't be too advantageous early. I'm not too sure if he's trialled or not. So I'd have to just find a little bit out off Eddie and see what sort of run he thinks he's ready for. But he's definitely got good gate speed. Like he crossed from 7 at Melton. In a good quality race, which you just don't see trotters do. So, no, there's no doubt about his gate speed, but it's just more of where he's at in his prep.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, before we move on to question 2, best horse you either drove at the races or handled in track work, Herbie?
Ooh,
any big names?
Yeah, you probably would have heard of Blueprint. I'm pretty sure I jogged him the first 2 weeks I was there. He won the North America Cup. Amazingly last weekend, and my first drive there was This Is a Plan, who's won over 3 million. But yeah, got to drive some pretty nice horses, and Eva was pretty lucky. She'll tell you a couple that she got to drive too. She was pretty lucky. Her first one was pretty nice horse as well.
Eva?
My first track work in America was on a horse called Hullabaloo, and I think he's won. Was it 2 of the Bugatti series?
Yep.
Yeah, he's won 2 of those, so that was pretty cool, and yeah, he felt really nice.
Yeah, I mean, like you've both driven good horses. Like, do those good horses overseas in the US and Sweden feel similar to good horses here, or do you feel like they're another level above?
No, I'd say that you can definitely tell they're good horses, but they do probably travel a little bit different, especially in races. The better horses, they travel quite strong, and with the racing, the high intensity that it is, they know when it's race day and they really switch on, versus track work where they're not quite as switched on. So, they're definitely, I think they're quite like beastly, the good ones over there, the way they swell up and they're just you're just like a passenger really. But yeah, good horses still feel like good horses.
Just one more because it's interesting to me. I love chatting about this stuff. The people over there, US, Sweden, wherever you happen to be, what's their knowledge and interest in Australian racing? Back to you, Herbie. Like, do they know Leap to Fame? Do they know our good drivers? Is there any interest over there about how we do things?
Yeah, it just depends who they are. Some people don't watch it all, and some people watch quite a bit. So, if they're people looking to buy horses, they definitely watch more than people that don't. But, you've got your connections through like the McCarthys and that, of course, they watch plenty of racing, and people that have been on drivers' tours or that, they sort of keep an eye on things and keep an eye on their mates that they met throughout those tours. So, and Sweden, well, obviously they're just trotters, so they take note of our better trotters, but I don't think they watch much else. But I think Facebook and Twitter and those sort of media outlets or whatever you want to call them definitely keep the world sort of watching one another in a way. But I think Australia is definitely, with the help of like Greg and Just Believe going over in terms of Europe, they're definitely taking a lot more notice now.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, good stuff. Let's move on to question 2. Pride's Easy Feed stand as a proud supporter of the harness racing industry with their set recipes and quality ingredients to give the trainer confidence in what they're feeding. So make the switch to Pride's and start getting the result you've been chasing. He was very brave a fortnight ago, so can 40 Love turn the tables from the second row? We're talking about race 7, the Ben Studd Standardbreds 3-year-old pace. You're not involved here, Herbie. I did plan to have Brett Carroll on here, but he wasn't able to make it. So some of these questions have got you in them, but some don't. I can skip past you if you like, or you can have a bet in this race because you're not involved. Who would you back if I gave you $100? You might keep it in the pocket after the trip you've been on.
Yeah, we're definitely any funds would be much appreciated. But no, look, this race, 40 Love's been great. Throughout nearly his whole career, really, he's been at a high class and really held himself no matter where he's sort of gone. So he's definitely the class horse of the race and the hardest to beat on paper.
Ever, I think I did send you guys a message when you were away, and I might have been given the fist pump when Johnny Justice got In an Ideal World home from memory at Geelong in the death seat, and I'm happy to say I was cursing him early when he couldn't get to the pegs. I'm like, what are you doing? But this horse was really tough, and it was a great win, and has shown really good ability. And I think you said to me at that point in time that you guys had a real high opinion of In an Ideal World.
Yeah, we think he's pretty good. Whether his mind's in it at the moment because he is still a boy, we're not too sure. But yeah, his results have spoke for themselves recently. He's been going really well. I think last start he just needed the run a little bit and missed a bit of work, but he has been doing really well. But he's once again in a really hard race. I think when 40 Love won his maiden, he sat outside of ours of In an Ideal World, and we ran second and he ran first. So he's always definitely had probably a little bit of class over him. Did I say third? I mean, he ran second, so he's probably already had a bit of class over him. But in saying that, I think he'll still run a good race. And then there's a horse like Matthew Cravens who's got a picket fence next to its name, obviously against much weaker opposition, but it's winning form. So there's a few interesting runners in it. Whether Aaron gets off the fence or not, I'm not sure. Puppet led on that horse last week and got run down. If he wants to hand up this time, that would be nice. I'm willing to take that, and put 40 Love 3 fence. But obviously, I think Aaron will have a bit of an easier path this week than he had last week.
Yeah, so you'll have a bit of a look early. Ever be up there in the firing line if the front is there?
Yeah, if it's there, but I don't think we'll do anything silly with him. Just probably want to still look after him. It's still quite early in his career.
Yeah, good stuff. Of course, Kiang Hollywood won that race that 5 of these clashed in a couple of weeks ago, and sadly for me, it's cost me a Palmer to Paddy Lee, who I said it had no chance. But anyway, he got through. If it wins this week, Paddy, if you're watching, I'll double it for you. Don't even have to bet me. It'd be a fair odd effort from 7. So I'm going to go with 40 Love. I thought he was outstanding in that race. He was really good, and Kiang Hollywood just had the right run. So I'll go with 40 Love in race number 7. Logical Staffing Solutions provide labour hire and recruitment services to the transport, warehousing, automotive and manufacturing industries. The logical solution for your staffing needs. The Narcissist has been the favourite punter's friend, but is this where the picket fence comes to an end? Race 5 we're talking about here. First leg of the main quaddie. Horse 8 is the Narcissist for Emma Stewart. Mark Pitt, I reckon he's going for 9 in a row since joining the stable from Queensland. He's a star. I love him, but this is a tricky draw. I'll come to you in a minute, Herbie. Ever, you're not driving in this race, but you know plenty about the Narcissist, Better Isolate, Fighter Command, and there's some really good horses in here. I just had a look at the market. I think he's $1.70, the Narcissist, 210, Fighter Command. Have you got a leaning towards one of those two favoured runners?
Probably want to lean towards Fighter Command. I think the draw, he might potentially get the upper hand on the Narcissist, and I think he's got so much raw ability. And I think both of them have a massive future, but I think in this race, I sort of want to lean towards Fighter Command. Yeah.
Yeah, over to you, Herbie. You're driving Fighter Command for Jess Tubbs. I thought his run in free-for-all company last time out from the back, I think Ants drove him. It was outstanding, running 4th. I love the Narcissist. He's one of my favourite horses, if not my favourite horse. I just think this draw is tricky for him over the mile. I think he's more of a bottomless type horse than a speedy horse. So you'd probably be happy with the way the barriers are, Herbie?
Yeah, look, it's definitely in our favour tactically. There's still a lot of question marks on Fighting of Command, sort of pure racing craft in terms of how much we can push him early to get into a spot or hold a spot or that sort of thing. And honestly, I've never sat behind him either, so that's also a bit of a something I've you got to take into account. But the way he's been going has just been superb. I haven't looked at his sectionals, but I'm sure they've been off the charts. And the Narcissist, as you say, I haven't really raced against it much, if ever, to be honest. But it looks like it's just bottomless, so it just keeps running. It doesn't seem to matter what happens. They just can't get near it. So, look, it's going to be a really interesting race. And you got Sir Jimmy off the front row, and a lot of classy free-for-allers filling up the race. You got to remember better isolates there as well. Who can run an incredible furlong as well. So, it's going to be a really interesting race. It's one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, Greg would have been great to ask this, wouldn't he? I mean, he drove the Narcissist a lot, and he obviously, Fighter Command he loved. It was probably one of his favourite horses, wouldn't it have been, Herb? Fighter Command.
Yeah, he had a lot of time for him. I was always in, he's from Heaven's basket, but he always thought he was a little bit better than him, and I think he's right. So we'll have to see how he goes on Saturday night. This is probably if he's heading towards the Eureka, he's going to have to be very, very competitive here.
Yeah, I remember speaking to Greg about the Narcissist. I always tried to get him to say something really over the top about him, and he said, I remember him saying, and it goes to what you were saying, Herbie, about his bottomless. I said, what did it feel like behind him? He just said, I couldn't go any quicker, but it felt like he was never, ever going to stop. So that's the type of horse he is, I think. So, yeah, if the Narcissist can get rolling, he's going to be hard to beat. Looking forward to that race. That's race 5 at 7:38 p.m. The mares are set to clash. So which one will have too much dash? Race 8 is the Mimosa Homes Mares Free for All. Great race, really good race. Eva, you'd be a little sad to see La Belle Bijou with Kari Males and Alan Tormey down on the form guide, wouldn't you? I even said to Ellen on Saturday night, she came past in the Kari Males colours, and I said, I'm used to seeing Eva driving this horse and in those colours, and she was almost offended. She said, I've driven plenty of theirs, but you and La Belle Bijou get on well together, don't you?
Yeah, we do. I guess that's what happens when you go away. Sometimes you lose a few, but that's okay. I still love her, and yeah, she's a really nice mare. But it's definitely a step up in grade here, and she does prefer the shorter trip. So I'm sure she'll run a really honest race here, but against horses like Rakira Rebel and that she's preparing to go for the Inter-Dominion, she'll probably find it a little bit tough, but I'm sure she'll run her usual honest race.
Yeah, Herbie, you take the reins with Rakira Rebel for Jess Tubbs, barrier 6. From a tipping perspective, I've just gone with Rakira Rebel. I don't think the map looks great for you, but I've just sort of deferred to the horse that I think's the best, and I think she's the best horse. Her win was outstanding last time. What are your thoughts? It's a difficult race. I'm sure you think you could win with the right run, but you're going to need a little bit of luck in some capacity.
Yeah, still going to need a little bit of luck, but she's very quick. Her runs in the last 5-6 starts, she's always seems to be at the top of her game. It's a credit to Jess to be able to, a horse of this class, to have her at her, near her best nearly every time she steps out. You can't ask much more from her. So yeah, the draw's a little bit tricky. I'll just have to have a look at the gate speed of a few of them. There's a few of them there that don't really, get into this class very often, and see how their gate speed stacks up against the free-for-all mares like Rakira Rebel. So you said Julie Willow was a little bit plain in her trial, so they may not be too aggressive early, which would be great. But look, I think we've got a little bit of a tactical advantage in one way, but on another hand, we've also got the odds stacked against us. So yeah, it'll be an interesting race, but she'll hold her own, that's for sure.
So yeah, and even talking now, Herbie, just looking at it, and I mean, there's probably a pretty good chance you get to the front here, isn't there? Like, she's got good speed. I mean, I'm thinking back to last start, she easily crossed Sahara Breeze. She'll, LaBelle Beaujeu's not going to get involved. Speed Sweet's up in grade. Jillaby Willow, if the camp weren't thrilled with their trial. So is it probably you and Sweet Bella, maybe? I don't know. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's possible. I'll just have to have a look at how quick she is off the gate. I just can't really remember. When they've had the chance to really buzz her, whether they have or
what do you think?
Been able to.
Do you prefer not doing that with her, or you don't really have an opinion there at the moment? Like, is she better driven with one run, or you're not fast?
I'm not fast. As long as she relaxes in front, she'll be sweet. And we're not having to run a 42 lead time and silly like that. So, yeah, look, if she's in front and she can relax, I think she'd be okay. She's definitely the classiest horse in the race. But yeah, the one time I did buzz off the gate a bit, she did get a bit revvy and got beat. But that was quite a while ago, and she hasn't shown any of those tendencies of late. So, if everything goes our way, then she'll be too good for me, I'd say.
Good stuff. Hey, Sharps Bakery, best bets time. This is tough. I tell you what, I reckon you're coming off a couple of best bets in a row, aren't you, that have got home? Don Hugo and Into Dominion. What else was there? There was something at $1.05 that you tipped us into, but we can't count that, can we?
I don't know. I've lost a few. So, but all that counts was the Into Dominion, if you ask me.
Correct. Hey, can you throw? I know you haven't been around, but if you can find us a winner, fresh up after 5 weeks, you're a hero.
Okay, well, I'm going to put the pressure on James and
like it.
And say Rakira Rebel race 8 number 6. I think she's the class runner, and hopefully she's not $1 something.
No, I reckon let's have a quick look. Race 8 with sports bet, horse number 6, $2.60. Happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, load up responsibly, of course. Herbie, best bet for you. Are you gonna load all the pressure up on your shoulders, or what?
We'll usually ever put some moz on everything, so I'm not sure. She's got one tip right, and she's a champ.
On the biggest stage of them all. On the biggest stage of them all.
I remember all the ones where she didn't get right. That's what I'm thinking about.
Shut up.
Yeah, we've been trying to keep an eye on a lot of the races, but it's a little bit hard coming back and putting the pressure on me. I'm going to go with Odin in the first. I'm pretty sure it's a horse I'm thinking of. I think he's been quite honest lately. I just can't turn this phone on the side to see if it's the right horse. But I think
it's either Odin or Quicksand, I reckon, is the one you're thinking of. Probably Odin. It's probably
Odin's the one that won the free-for-all at Terang.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him. That's it. Yeah, I'll go with him. That's the one. Yep, that's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
so in Karen Manning we trust. Race 1, number 5, Odin. Good gate speed for the Tyndales.
James, you have a drive in that.
I do it. Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I can't. See, I'm out of whack.
All right, let's go again. No, so you're saying Perrin's the one.
No, we can't go that. We can't go that.
All right.
All right, I'll go Perfidious Sue. She was superb last week, so
yeah, she was.
If she can have a little bit of luck from a bad draw, she should go pretty close in that race.
So you don't like your drive in that one?
I haven't got one in that one.
I'm only joking.
Couldn't do it twice, sure.
No, you couldn't. Actually, I like that. I've got it on top as well. I don't know if that's a Moz as well, Herbie, but race 3, number 6, Perfidious Sue, David Murphy. I reckon he might have her right. She's a funny horse, but she was fantastic behind Aldebaran and a Crux. What am I going to do? I'm going to go with... Look, I'm going to go one that's a bit better than... I was going to go $1.60 RC Phoenix, but I'm going with Karen Manning as well. Race 9, number 5, Mystery Fred. I think he was $2.60 with Sportsbet at last glance before we started, and he was incredible winning last time. He pulled his head off from the death and still charged away to beat a good field, and I reckon this field's a bit easier. So pretty keen. Race 9, number 5, Mystery Fred. Herbie, Ever, really appreciate you jumping on. I won't see you Saturday night, but looking forward to catching up soon.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Cheerio. That's been Burning Questions. I'll be back next week with another episode.
Green light, they're away.
And they're all in their positions, ready to go. There's the light up.
In true Mildura stock.
The green light's on. It was a beautiful start of...
He's trying to get